Hey there, everybody. It's Todd Nauck, and as promised, I'm doing another Periscope broadcast. I appreciate all of you people joining in there. I'm seeing a number of people joining right away, so thank you so much. Glad to have y'all here. Let's see. Uh, this is my third Periscope broadcast, and I appreciate all the likes coming right out of the gate here, and all the comments coming up on the app so far. And if you're watching on YouTube, sorry you can't post any comments or questions, but I appreciate you tuning in and watching. So let's see. So I'm just going to do some drawing and answer your questions, do Q&A as best as I can. I apologize if I miss your questions as you're posting them because usually I'm focusing on the art. I'm going to try something different here, see if I can watch my own broadcast on Twitter so I can see your questions rolling up on my iPad a little bit easier. I'm not sure how that's going to work, but we'll give it a try. I will, so I'll do my best to answer your questions. If I miss your question, feel free to repost. Can't promise I can answer every question, but I'll do whatever I can. Just going to do some generalized sketching this time. I'm just going to do some, right now I plan on doing some rough sketches, some figure work or gesture drawing. A lot of young artists have been asking me, have been asking me, how to draw action poses. Sorry, it's hard to talk and read your comments at the same time, but I appreciate it. Yes, I still do have my Doctor Who sideburns here. 10th Doctor sideburns. So I'm going to try drawing some action poses just so y'all can kind of see what I do, how I approach it. Lots of artists have different ways and approaches and opinions on how to draw action poses. I'm just going to show you how I do it. And like I said, every artist has a slightly different approach. So there's all sorts of different ways to learn and approach it. So I'm just going to, show you how I do it. So I will, we'll plug in here to the extendable arm and right there and get drawing. So thanks for your patience, gang. All right, so I'm looking to see if I can watch this on my own iPad here. Hopefully I don't create some sort of time vortex and crash the universe. If I do, please forgive me. I know it's where we keep all of our stuff. Ah, look at there. I can. So now I can hopefully read your questions a little bit more easily. Oh my gosh. So I'm on a little bit of a delay. That's trippy. I wonder if anyone's tried to do this on a Periscope broadcast yet. Let's see. So lock in here. There we go. And all right, so maybe some of my responses to your questions might be a little delayed if I look at my iPad. So I'll try to look at the phone while I'm drawing as well. So let's see. I am Swag Dancer. Ask, am I married? Sorry for asking. Don't feel sorry for asking. Yes, I am married. I've been married for 15 awesome years, and I'm sure many of y'all have met my wife at conventions. She is a mainstay at the conventions with me. So if you see me there, most likely you've seen my wife and know how awesome she is. So let's see. So I'm just going to do some rough sketching. Let's see. Hopefully this pencil will show up here. So when I'm working on a action pose, I like to use a lot of foreshortening. And foreshortening is when the body part is coming at you. Let's see. Heartbreak Nino asks, when will I be at NYCC? NYCC is in October. I plan to be there this October. It's a great convention. An awesome artist alley. It's huge. It's like a convention away from a convention. So I I really like the foreshortening. So the head is hunkered down over the shoulders, you see here, as opposed to drawing straight up and down. So you want to create that sense of movement. Now, a lot of young artists say that their art looks a little stiff, that they have a hard time getting the motion going. My encouragement is to look at real life and look up action poses. Look up a picture of a person running or some karate move, something where someone's moving, and study how those shapes overlap. That's the shoulder to the upper arm to the forearm to the hand, the chest muscles, the rib cage, the abdomen. down to the legs. You know, it all interconnects here. So let's see. Now I'm just kind of sketching this out just as I'm thinking and as I'm talking here. And I have years and years and years of practice in doing this. Your results will probably vary. I went to art school, I had life drawing classes, all sorts of classes, so and then just my own personal training myself. I still try to teach myself new stuff. I still try new techniques to try to keep things fresh. So and then as the body gets further and further back into the background, the body parts get smaller and smaller, and that's now you're creating foreshortening. Here the fist is ahead of us, then to the forearm, then to the muscle, then through the shoulder, connects here to the body. Now there are no magical really any sort of magical secrets to getting this done. A lot of it comes with just trial and error. You just kind of have to work through it. You're going to draw a lot of cruddy drawings before they start to work. But you have to slog through those. Your figures will look stiff when you first start out. Mine did when I was younger. It's okay. You keep moving forward. You keep drawing. You keep focusing on those problem areas, whether they be knees or how to connect the arms to the shoulders. You keep working at it. Don't stop. Don't give up. It's okay if you feel discouraged. That's all right. That's a human emotion. We're going to feel that way. But if you let it stop you, then that's not good. Let that discouragement fuel you to find the answer. I like to encourage young artists to consider drawing like a video game. You don't give up if you can't beat that one boss on that one level. You find the trick. You find the way to approach it. You know, it's up, down, left, right, A, B, A, right button, left button. You know, you find the code, the trick, or the way to approach it to beat that boss, and then your video game skills improve and you move up to the next level. So you got to keep taking your artistic challenges the same way. Don't let it frustrate you to where you give up. Keep playing the game. Keep sketching and putting lines down on paper. The more you draw, the closer you get. It's like each step of a journey. You're going to keep moving forward if you're still drawing. You might plateau sometimes. You might get frustrated and feel like there's no way out of this level. I believe that there is a way out. You just have to keep at it. And doing little thumbnail sketches like this can really help. You don't have to come into your art and draw it perfectly the first time you put pencil to paper. So you can see here so flying pose, kind of a battle ready pose. I'm just sketching this in. This just gets the brain warmed up. This does not have to be the final illustration. This is just getting the body, the character figure moving. So I apologize, I have not answered a single one of y'all's questions. I've been so focused here on drawing, it's a little more difficult than if I should just be, oh my gosh, I completely lost my train of thought there. I focused so much on the art there. So again, I really appreciate y'all's patience and understanding. So let's see. Carnal Designs asks, do you have characters in mind or just poses? Right now, these are just poses. Just right now, just generalized poses, just to kind of show young artists kind of how I approach it, how scribbly I get. Now, I could turn most any of these characters into a different character. I could make this one Iron Man, possibly Superman. This guy right here, I could probably make as well Iron Man, maybe Wolverine. Now, mind you, some characters are different body types, different builds, so I would want to keep that in mind and adjust accordingly. So I think Superman is a bit wider in the shoulders than Iron Man. Wolverine is, a bit shorter than most every other superhero except for Puck from Alpha Flight, true Wolverine. Now, I'm the kind of guy who believes Wolverine should be 5'3". I know with the movies, we kind of see Wolverine as 6 foot. That's okay, that's all right. But me, when I was growing up, as a kid in the 80s, Wolverine was 5'3", and that's one thing I really liked was that he was short. And so I'm just going to, pardon me, keep sketching some some poses here, maybe work into drawing an actual character. So someone just asked, how did I get into the comic book business? Oh man, that might be a whole different broadcast. Let's see. You know, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can tell that story and draw at the same time. We'll see. We'll see if I can get my brain wrapped around that question and if I can and share how I broke into the industry, broke into the business and my path there. Thank you so much for the question. So let's see. Someone asked just a second ago there, have I ever drawn Quicksilver? I've drawn a little bit of Quicksilver. I haven't drawn a lot of Quicksilver, but as a speedster, let's try roughing in a running pose. Now, one thing you want to keep in mind is, like I said, draw from real life. Look up a running pose, and you see how people run in real life. How people run in real life really isn't how we run in comics, how you make characters run in comics. Unless you're Usain Bolt, then that is probably the closest to a actual comic book run. But usually we like to exaggerate the pose. Now this pose right here actually is coming out a little more lifelike. This is more of a jog here. So, but if you're going to draw the Quicksilver or the Flash, just really busting into a full run, then you're going to want to be a lot more exaggerated. So this is kind of how like almost a regular real life run would be, running pose. So just something like that. But if we really wanted to get exciting with it, apologize, I'm missing all of y'all's questions there. I'm, as I said, so focused on getting the drawing going. Let's see, Kiraj asked, how did you get the job with Teen Titans Go? That spun out of my work on Young Justice. My assistant editor on Young Justice was the editor at Teen Titans Go. He asked if I'd come and draw the series. So I said, I'll try a couple of issues. Ended up really enjoying it. It was great working with writer Jay Torres. And I ended up sticking around and drew well more than half of the series for the 55-issue run. I did well over 36 issues of those 55 issues. I was doing a lot of other work at the same time, like Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man for Marvel and things like that, as well as my creator-owned series Wild Guard at the same time, so I wasn't able to draw every issue. So here's a little bit more of an extreme pose. Here, let me show you the bottom of the leg here. Now I might work on a pose, start to place in an arm or a leg or a foot, and then realize, you know what? I don't like the way that's angled. I want to change it up. And that's the great part about this stage, is that you can change up the angle or pose of the character. Let's see. Shockwave Laguna asks, what were some key classes you took to help develop your style? I don't know if really there were any classes that helped me develop my style. I think my life drawing classes helped me in drawing my figures, which I think is the purpose of a life drawing class. I had design classes and stuff like that at the Art Institute of Dallas, where I studied commercial art and graphic design. I think where I really started to develop my style was the more I drew from real life. When I started to stop looking at my favorite comic book artists and start looking at real life. Now, I think it's okay to be influenced by your favorite comic book artists. I think that's natural, because we all start off reading comics and then realize, hey, that's what I want to do for a living. So let's try a Spider-Man pose here. Maybe him swinging. I think that's okay. And I consider looking at your favorite comic book artists while you draw the training wheels. Those are the training wheels. And then there comes a point where you need to stop looking at your favorite comic book artists. You can still be inspired by them, you can still be influenced by them, but not having their comics sitting on your desk while you draw, and you start to draw from real life. That's where you start interpreting the world through your filter, and And that's where your style will start to emerge, because you're interpreting real life through your eyes, through your brain, down through your hand, and your style will emerge. So I say, don't try to find your style will find you. So I know style is a huge part of comics, each person's style, but focusing on trying to find one, or mimicking someone else's isn't really necessary. I mean, your style will develop. And I think it really, in my opinion, really comes out when you draw from your life. So that's kind of the class. It was life, just life in general, drawing in general was the class I took. The drawing from the streets. So here we have a Spider-Man, generalized Spider-Man swinging pose. The arms coming down, but the body going backwards, but the thighs coming forward, but the legs coming back the other way. So you keep in mind how each limb and body part will cut back or move forward. Then of course we need to put a web here, and then it trails off. That's the fun thing about Spider-Man webs, is that web can just spill all around. Someone just posted, they feel like when they draw they don't have their own style. That's okay. You're probably still in the early stage of the game. Don't worry about it. Like I said, your style will find you. Someone asked here, Pass Point, I can't even pronounce your name. We'll just call you Pass Point. How much fun was Star Wars Celebration? It was super fun. My wife and I took photos at every single photo op movie display. Was there with my pal, DC inker Norm Ratman, who's a huge Star Wars fan, and his son, and so we took a lot of photos together. I think I posted some of those photos on my Twitter page and Instagram as well. All right. Let's see. Let's put and then like a side pose here. I want to show you a trick that I learned from a Jim Lee video back when I was a kid, when I was a teenager and trying to break in. There was a video series called Stan Lee, the Modern Masters with Stan Lee, where Stan Lee interviewed the top artists of the early 90s. So it was like Todd McFarlane, Rob Liefeld, Jim Lee, and Will Portacio, John Romita Jr., and I would watch those videos. It was the only way I could get this kind of information. There was no YouTube at that time. So there was one video where Jim Lee is talking about how to draw a page, how to create motion, and one of my takeaways from that was the center of the chest and the center of the pelvis. How far this line is between the two is the amount of energy and action that you're getting out of your pose. So the character is standing up straight. The distance between those would be almost like this guy here to here. That's standing up straight. But when I don't know if I'm making this as clear as Jim, but you know, you can find those videos on YouTube. So you can find the Jim Lee modern masters, modern comic book greats. Comic book greats, that's what it was called. Stan Lee's comic book greats. He talks about it, and it just blew my mind. So it really kind of was one of the first things I learned. And so that distance between the center of the chest to the center of the pelvis will help create motion here. So his foot's going right on top of Spidey, but that's okay. Doesn't matter. These are just quick sketches. This is not finished final art. Let's see. What are some of my thoughts when I panel a page? You know, I think of it like a movie. I think of it like a movie. Comic book art is almost like storyboarding a movie. So, you know, you get to pick your camera angles. Is it a wide shot? Is it a close-up shot? Is it a medium shot? How much of the background do you put in? How much do you leave out? What's necessary for what the writer has written in the plot? So when I read that plot, I just start envisioning it like a movie, and then I pause it and show you what I'm seeing. Let's see. Ari Andrew asks, what do you prefer, Marvel or DC? I like both. I've worked for both. I have friends at both. I enjoy the characters of both. So I can't say I prefer one over the other. I really enjoy both. I have favorite characters from both. I've had fantastic projects I've done for both. So there's a side running pose. So hopefully some of these poses are helping you guys out and will help you guys out for future illustrations that you're working on. And again, I'm sure there's been a lot of questions that have come by that I've missed. I truly apologize, but and I thank you for your understanding about, pardon me, all the brain power it takes for me to talk and draw at the same time. Not usually how I spend my workday. It's usually how I spend my convention weekends. When I'm at a convention, I can usually enjoy chatting. Let's see, Wookie for the win, great name there, asks, are you working on a second sketchbook? Yes, I am. I am working on a second sketchbook. I was working on files for that last night. I hope to have it ready in time for San Diego Comic-Con. It will be full color as well, as right now is the intention. So let's see, let's try drawing a female character here. Let's see, Skate Inferno asks, do you start drawing backgrounds during a page layout or do you start with the figures? It depends on the shot. It depends on what the focus of the shot is. If it's a really big establishing shot, then focusing strictly on the backgrounds. You know, this is New York City, and then I drop Spider-Man in there. If it's an interior, you know, the focus is on the characters and what they're doing, then I will draw them in, always keeping in mind where the backgrounds will go and how to line up the perspective. So it kind of happens almost simultaneously as I draw. So it's kind of hard to say. It all depends on what the story calls for and what I need to get on the page. So I know that mostly I post a lot of finished stuff. We'll just draw a female character here, as I had said. I post a lot of finished stuff, so I hope y'all like seeing the sketch stuff, the really rough stuff, behind-the-scenes stuff, the raw stuff here. Hopefully this is just as entertaining to you. Let's see, who's your favorite Marvel character? Someone asked. Sorry, I missed your name. My favorite Marvel character, I got a lot. X-Men. I love the X-Men. I make no secret of that. And Kitty Pryde, as I've mentioned in other videos on my regular YouTube channel. Kitty Pryde right now is my favorite X-Men character. She's always been in my top 5, but right now, nowadays, I just really enjoy her being Professor K to the all-new X-Men. Of course, she's a character I grew up with, along with Nightcrawler, Colossus, Rogue, so those are some more of my favorites. Let's see. Oh, sorry, I missed some questions there. I was really focused on this leg here. A little hair there, and let's see. And then there's a sword, maybe 2 swords. Maybe this was Gamora here. This could be Gamora. This could be Psylocke. Let's see, Mr. Alec Kazam asked, what do you find most challenging working as an artist? Finding more hours in the day. I think there's a lot more that I'd want to draw than I'm able to actually find time to draw. Of course, drawing animals can always be a challenge. That's why, I don't have my cow here. I had to draw a cow in an issue of Invincible Universe, a book I did for Robert Kirkman, written by the awesome Phil Hester. Really great working with Phil on that book. And Phil wrote in a cow, and I'm like, Phil, why'd you write a cow in here? I don't like drawing cows. And so I looked up cow reference. You know, I looked up photos of cows, and the photo reference worked. It helped me in many ways, but it didn't quite. Cows are more difficult for me to turn around in my head like it is a person. Like these sketches here, I'm just drawing straight out of my brain. To draw a cow, I can get a basic cow shape, but to get some of those details, like how the muscles fit together, the bones that, you know, from their shoulders, or how their legs fit together, that's a little more challenging. So I have to look up photo reference, but I can't turn that photo around in my head. How to draw a cow's head, I just can't turn it around. So what I did was I went to Michael's craft stores and bought a plastic toy cow, a real nice PVC cow that I could hold at different angles to get the the body parts just right, so I could get the head, the shape of the snout and the ears and the cheekbones and the eyes just right. And so when I was done, the editor and Phil both asked, "What were you complaining about, Todd? What do you mean you don't like drawing cows? You did a great job." It's like, sweet. I met the challenge. I got the cow drawn, and it turned out all right. It was a believable cow. And having gone through that experience, it's like, okay, now I know I can draw cows. I've beaten the difficulty drawing cow boss in this video game of art life. So, and yes, someone asked here, do I still have that cow? I do still have that cow. And my wife, she will come into my office, she will take that cow and then put an action figure on top of it. Usually I can find an action figure riding a cow. The first time was Blue Beetle. She put Blue Beetle holding a little flower she took from the garden and placed them on my desk riding a cow. So when I came home from, I think it was the comic shop, that was there to surprise me, was a cow. Blue Beetle riding a cow. I kept that on my drafting table for some time. In fact, I think a photo for that is way back in my Instagram stream. So if you want to see the picture of Blue Beetle holding a flower on a cow, I had to post a photo of that. Let's see. Do you? Paul's Art 27 asks, do you put Easter eggs in your drawings? Yes, I do. I first saw artists doing Easter eggs in drawings when I was a kid. Let's see. Arthur Adams would hide Gumby in X-Men issues. If you look at New Mutants Special #1, you can find Gumby in there. And Todd McFarlane would put Felix the Cat in all sorts of Spider-Man comics. And I thought that was really cool to try to find the Gumby or try to find the Felix the Cat. So when I decided to do, when I was going to break into the business, what would be my Easter egg? And back in the early 90s, and even to this day, huge Mystery Science Theater fan. Love Mystery Science Theater. So my Easter egg, and I've done this in almost every comic book I've drawn, especially if it's a full-size comic book, I hide Mystery Science Theater themed Easter eggs. Oftentimes it's the letters MST or MST3K on a computer screen or on a driver's on a license plate on a car. I put names of episodes, the movies they've watched, like Troll, or no, not Troll, Hobgoblins, or Manos Hands of Fate, or Castle of Fu Manchu on the book spines of books, like in a library. Oftentimes those books will have episode titles on there. Very rarely I've worked in, like the robots. So there'd be like a broken Tom Servo head or a crow head amongst some rubble, or maybe a gypsy eye somewhere. So if you've seen any of my comics, if you have any of my comics, go back and look. Usually there's at least one, and I've done as many as I think eight Easter eggs in a given comic book story. I've done that for some time. I even got to meet the mad scientist, Dr. Forrester, and TV's Frank back in the mid-90s, and it turned out they had heard that I had done this, so they knew I was the Mystery Science Theater Easter egg guy. I've had a pleasure of meeting almost the entire cast of Mystery Science Theater, either as Riff Tracks or Cinematic Titanic at San Diego Comic Con. They've all been very cool people to meet. Big fans of their shows, whether it be Mystery Science Theater, Riff Tracks, or Cinematic Titanic. So here's kind of a little bit of a flying shot. So let's see. Skate Inferno asks, what's my process after this stage of the drawing? If I'm doing a 9x12 commission piece here, and I kind of was like, okay, I got to draw a character running, I'm going to draw Flash. I'll work out some different Flash poses, or Quicksilver, some speedster, and just rough out a quick little pose. Then I will eyeball this onto my full-size board. The pose will probably not turn out exactly the same way I sketched it here, but it's got my brain working. I'm getting to see where these shapes are, how they'll fit together, and I'll do my best to transfer it as close to as possible. But drawing it at a larger size, there's going to be some change. It's not going to happen exactly the same way for me. It'll be similar, it'll be close, but it won't be the same. I'll put a little cape on there. So that would be the next stage. And if I'm at home, well, what really is helpful is to scan in the sketch, take it into Photoshop, blow it up, print it out on paper, and then lightbox it onto the board where I have this light box. I put down the paper, put down my artboard on top of that, and then I can see the lines through there, and then I can rough in all the different shapes I've created here in the sketch onto the board, and then I can tighten that up in pencil and ink. So, Ari Andrews asks, what's your favorite Marvel movie? Let's see. For a long time, it was Avengers. Then it was Guardians of the Galaxy. Now it's Avengers Age of Ultron. I had so much fun watching Age of Ultron. I thought it was such a fun movie. I really enjoyed that. And I love lots of characters. In my comics, I thought Joss Whedon did a great job of having lots of characters in the movie. We had 9+ superheroes in Avengers Age of Ultron. I won't give away any spoilers in case some of y'all haven't had a chance to get out and see that yet. But having 9+ superheroes, I thought really worked really well. And people have always said, oh, we don't know if a big team superhero movie would work. I thought Age of Ultron worked. At least it worked for me, and I thought it was a lot of fun. Oh, thank you very much, A.E. Rende. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right, but yeah. I couldn't. It's interesting to see people's Twitter and internet social network handles. Sometimes it's almost like trying to decipher a personalized license plate. But thanks for the clarification. Oh, I just missed someone's question there about the digital. About digital art. I haven't done really much digital art. I haven't done a lot of drawing digitally. I'd love to give it a try, though. Pardon me. I'd love to give that a go and hop onto a Cintiq and see what that's like. So here's a page full of sketches. So let's try drawing something straight up, start to finish as best as possible. So let's see, which character should I draw? You guys have any suggestions? Let's see what comes up here. Now, unfortunately, I'll only be doing once. I can't promise I can draw I definitely won't be able to draw everyone's suggestion, but I'd like to see who y'all suggest here and see if one grabs me. So let's see. We have Marrow. That's very interesting. Wolverine, Nightcrawler, Galactic. I think he might mean Galactus. Articrack probably got a hold of you there. Goku, Deadpool, Juggernaut, Starfire, Damian Wayne, Vision, Lucy in the Sky. Aurora, do you mean Storm? Aurora? Deadpool, Gambit, Captain Planet, Deadpool, Damian Wayne, Gambit. I'm starting to see a theme coming around here. Howard the Duck, Optimus Prime. Okay, it was Storm, all right. Flash, Cyborg, Damian Wayne. Again with a Damian Wayne. Mohawk Storm, one of my favorite versions of Storm. Mohawk Storm, Spawn. Drew Barrymore? Really? Drew Barrymore? I probably will not be drawing Drew Barrymore. I'd hate for that to turn out bad and then she somehow sees it and then I have to apologize to her. But thank you for the suggestion. Kid Flash, Iron Man, Flash. Let's see. Oh man, there are so many good ones on there. I started to. Drew Barrymore from E.T. Okay, so young, very young little girl Drew Barrymore. General Gracious. That's an interesting character. I haven't heard of General Gracious. You probably mean Grievous and autocorrect got you there. Boba Fett, Jubilee, Grievous. There you go. I see it. Green Lantern. Or Drew Barrymore from the 50 First Dates. All right, that's a pretty wide gap from those two movies. But again, I'm probably not going to draw Drew Barrymore. Papa Smurf, Scar, Flash, Spawn, Deadpool. All right, man. Let's see. Oh, someone mentioned Jem there. My wife would like it if I drew Jem. Luke Cage. All right. Let's start in here and see who this turns out to be. Todd Nauck self-portrait, you ask, or Jean-Claude Van Damme? I don't know if I'd want to do a self-portrait here on a Periscope broadcast, though I appreciate the suggestion. You know, it's been interesting. I've been seeing more and more Todd Nauck fan art show up. I've had people give me illustrations they have done of me, and I've seen them people posting them on Twitter and tagging me. And it's really fun to see people do that. There was one where someone drew me and Greg Capullo. We looked like we were buddy cops. And I really appreciate when people put the gray streak in my hair. I really appreciate that attention to detail. But I think it's interesting. I'd never seen comic book creator fan art before. So I was definitely honored. Definitely honored to see that. The new 53 is just tuning in. Who am I drawing today? You know what? We are discovering this as I go. Right now, this could go any direction here of the many character suggestions people have posted. See, we'll just do a half figure here. Let's see. Kind of a Bob Ross thing going on. We'll see as we go. Yes, this is kind of Bob Ross. So we got happy heroes, happy heroes. You turn a little happy accident into a tree. You know, just make it a tree. It's your world. It's not your world. Now, I used to grow up watching Bob Ross, the Bob Ross show on PBS. I think it was the summer of my 8th grade year, our PBS station had Bob Ross on, and every day from 12 to 12:30, I made sure I was home so I could watch Bob Ross. I just would be enthralled to see how he would create trees and scenes, you know, out of nothing. I love watching other artists draw. So I definitely was a Bob Ross fan for sure. All right, so have y'all been able to kind of guess who I'm drawing here? Have I put in enough clues? Haven't put anything on the face, but does the pose, the accessories here? Yep, Deadpool. That's right. I'm going for a Deadpool here. I hear he's gotten kind of popular. I remember when Deadpool was brand new. I was a teenager, I think I was in art school, and Rob Liefeld had just come on to New Mutants, and I remember getting the first issue of Deadpool, or the first appearance of Deadpool, I should say, not the first issue, first appearance. Got 2 copies because it was the early 90s, and you bought 2 of everything, so got 2 copies of the first appearance of Cable, Deadpool, Venom. I think Venom, maybe not the first 2 appearances of Venom. First 2 issues of his first series. If you could do a team-up story with any Marvel character and DC character, who would they be? Oh, wow, what a very interesting question. A Marvel DC 2-character team-up. Well, if I were to do that, I would pick my 2 favorite superheroes, my favorite from Marvel and my favorite from DC. And let's see if you guys know who those 2 characters would be. Y'all know who my favorite Marvel character would be, right? Let's see if you know who that is. Go ahead and post that comment if you know who my Marvel character would be for that team up. See if y'all been paying attention. I didn't mention this before, but there was going to be a quiz. T16 Skyhop, Kitty Pryde. That's right. Y'all got Kitty Pryde. She is my favorite Marvel superhero right now. Has been on for a long time, but right now if someone put a gun to my head and said who's your one favorite, I'd definitely say Kitty. So now, let's see how well you guys know me. Who would be my DC character that would team up with Kitty? And T16 Skyhop said Impulse, though I do love Impulse. It would not be Impulse. All right, Andy Manley 3 got it right out of the gate. Kitty Pryde and Booster Gold. That's right, Booster Gold. Let's see. Kazam got it, and Shockwave Laguna got Booster as well. That's right, Kitty Pryde and Booster. That would I think would be a very interesting team up. Kitty is a kind of gal who doesn't take guff off of anybody, so I think she'd be very frustrated with Booster. He would probably be getting on her nerves. You know, he'd probably be trying to get a date with her or something like that, kind of being a bit of a jerk, but good-natured, always good-natured. So I think that would be a fun story. If I could do that story, oh my gosh, you know, I should draw that up sometime. Draw that up and post it on my social networks. My Kitty Pride Booster Gold team up. I should draw up a cover for that, just for the fun of it. Next time I get some free time. Thank you for that question. I forgot who asked what would be my two-character Marvel team up. So that was a really fun one. And good job for you guys for guessing my two characters there. Y'all been paying attention. The quizzes will continue as we go. All right, so there's some rough generalized pencils. Oh, pardon me. Now come in for some inks. Not quite used to doing this much nonstop talking while while I'm drawing. I'm getting parched. Oh, thank you for that little break there. Oh, hey, Gabe El Tayyib is coloring barbed wire and watching me draw. Gabe El Tayyib is my good pal. He was the colorist of my of the series Invincible Universe we did together for Robert Kirkman. So if y'all, and he colors lots of stuff for DC Comics and Dark Horse. He used to color a lot of the Star Wars stuff when it was still at Dark Horse. Oh, and Gabe says he really likes my Bob Ross impersonation. Thank you, thank you. I should, you know, have that somewhat down, having watched him since I was at least 14 years old. Let's see. Future artist 123 asks, "What's the marker best for you?" I believe that's what your question was there. I apologize if I missed part of it. I like all sorts of markers. I use all sorts, whatever I can get my hands on, really. When it comes to coloring, I'm a Copic guy through and through. I love Copic. I think they're awesome. You've probably seen many of my Copic tutorials on my YouTube channel. So those are my favorites. I know people use Prismacolor, but from what I hear, Prismacolor doesn't blend as well, as you don't get that blending option like you do with Copic. That's what I've been told by a friend of mine who uses Prismacolor or has used Prismacolor, but I haven't used Prismacolor enough to be able to really speak to that. There's the new touch markers that I hear are comparable to Copic's. But I haven't really used many of those. I've met people from Touch. They've come by my table to introduce me to their product, but I'm so immersed into Copic, there's just no changing. I mean, I've got a pretty extensive Copic collection, so I'm not looking to change brands midstream, especially because, you know, when I like Copic as much as I do, and have a lot of great friends there at Copic Color. So but I hear Touch is another option for people to use. So, but when it comes to like inking and stuff, I've been using Pigma Microns most of my art life. I mean, I've been using these probably since the 90s at least. So there's that brand loyalty in that sense. But I also use the Copic multi-liners. My friends at Copic hooked me up with a set of the multi-liner SP multi-liners, and the kind that have the replaceable ink cartridges and tips and stuff. So it's I really like markers that you can just replace the inks on, like a Pentel Pocket brush pen. So so that's another brand that I really enjoy is Copic multi-liners as well as Pigma Microns. Sorry, I got so focused here on the inking, I've been missing y'all's questions. What's your favorite power to draw? Laser beam, etc. Laser beams are awesome to draw. You can't really go wrong with a laser beam. You can have that coming from a gun or from someone's face or from their hands. Ideally from the face, I think is awesome. Whether it's your eyes or just your whole face entirely. Laser beams are great like that. But I would say my favorite to draw would probably be Ice. Ice is a lot of fun to draw. I think Iceman is a really fun character. I've been a fan of his since the 80s. X Factor, the original X Factor. That's when I started reading comics and loved that team being back together, and the original 5 X-Men back together back in the 80s. And Walter Simonson, how he drew Iceman, I just thought was the coolest. And the way Walter Simonson portrays energy effects really was a big influence on me, amongst other aspects of his art as well. And such as, let's see, Baby Avenue asks, how do you get confident with the lines when inking? Practice. More and more practice. Just the more you draw, the more familiar you become with your skills, with the tools you use. So it just comes. Just like as with anything that we practice, whether it's music or sports or if you're acting and memorizing lines, the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. So continued practice. It took me a while to develop my inking skills and to develop a level of confidence. Pardon me. In my inking. So really, I can't stress that enough. Practice. Draw as much as possible daily if you can. Really, it's that level of commitment daily. You gotta be drawing every day if you want to get this job. Because if you are fortunate enough to get a job drawing comics, you'll be drawing every day. And that's not something you can just jump into. If you're not able to draw all day every day, then you won't have the energy, the stamina required to do this full time. It's really it can be mentally taxing, grueling at times, because you're putting out so much creative energy. If you see me on a Sunday at a comic book convention, I've put out so much creative and relational energy. My wife is dealing with practically a zombie on the flight home. But of course I love it and couldn't imagine doing anything else. But you gotta pardon me, you gotta condition yourself. Throat's getting a little dry there from the talking while I'm drawing. Should probably grab a sip of water here in a second. Let's see, Mr. Alec Kazam asks, how do you choose your lines when inking? Once I've roughed in the figure work and the costume details, it's really just a matter of just making those final choices. So again, it's that continued practice, that practice to where it becomes second nature. Excuse me. It's that I know exactly, for the most part. Sometimes I have to second guess myself, and that's all right. But I know pretty well where I want to put my lines, and this is a pretty quick sketch here. I still have to get ready for the Motor City Con, which is this weekend in Detroit, or Novi technically. So if you're out in the Michigan area and you're going to Motor City Comic Con, please do stop by my table. Don't know my table number yet, but hopefully that information's up on the Motor City site. So I can't spend all night drawing here. Oh my goodness, we've been going for about almost an hour, about 50 minutes. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. Really appreciate y'all hanging out with me. Hope y'all are having fun. Let's see. Wookie for the Win says, Michelle and I can't wait to see you in Phoenix. I look forward to returning to Phoenix this, in I guess it's about just over 2 weeks. If you're in the Arizona area, please come and see us at Phoenix Comic Con. Let's see. Paul's Art 27 asked, "Did I like Daredevil?" I believe you're talking about the Netflix show. I'm assuming you're talking about the Netflix show because everyone's watching that and talking about it. I have not had a chance to see it yet. I'm still behind on my so many of my TV shows, and with the convenience of it being on Netflix, I know it's going to be there for a good long while. So I've fallen way behind. But I hope to watch it. I definitely want to make sure I've caught up on it before the other shows come out, like Iron Fist and Luke Cage and stuff. So let's see. Passpoint SRL asks, how long does it take to complete a book? For me to pencil and ink one book generally takes about a month. It takes about 4 weeks to pencil and ink one 20-page comic book. And that's working, full work days, 5 to 6 days a week at the very least. Let's see. Dasher Art asks, is there any comic book art techniques that you like doing? Example, Kirby Crackles. Well, Kirby Crackles are awesome to draw. They are a lot of fun, so I can definitely attest to that. Let's see. Actually, what I should do here before I spot these blacks is erase these pencil lines. I found that if I don't erase the pencil lines and then I spot blacks with the Pentel pocket brush pen, I don't know what's up with the ink there, but it will tear the black from the board, and I don't like that. So I like to erase before filling in the blacks. So, oops, there we go. And I plan to take this all the way to Copic Color. And if y'all aren't able to, if y'all are not able to watch the whole broadcast, it will be on the Periscope app here under my account for 24 hours. You can watch it in its entirety then, and you can see everyone's comments as they go up. In fact, I'll have to go back and watch it to see which comments I missed. And then I hope to get it up on my YouTube channel a little bit later on. How often do I do these demos? Asks breast something. They're very intermittent. It's pretty sporadic. I don't have a set time, but whenever I have the free time, and so that's one of the reasons why I'm up on here today. And I'm thinking maybe I'll try to do a broadcast during the convention from my Artist Alley table. Would y'all be interested in seeing that? Would you be interested in seeing me broadcast maybe a sketch from my Artist Alley table, working on a commission there? Yep, yes. Okay, I'll have to make sure I bring my extender arm thingy. It's not my own personal arm. It's not like I'm bionic or anything, but this little rig. Not sure if I'll be on any panels, but if I am, I wonder if they let me broadcast live from the panel. Let's see, someone else here. How did I come up with my art style? Practice, and drawing from real life. Another part of developing your own art style is that, as I mentioned earlier, you might not have been around for that, person who just asked that question, is that I encourage young artists to move away from drawing strictly from their favorite comic book artist's work having that at their drafting table, but you know, it's kind of taking off the training wheels. I have no problem with people being inspired by their favorite comic book artist, influenced by their favorite comic book artist. I am the exact same way, but I found the most growth happens when I draw from real life. Now, another aspect of that is when I am drawing, so there's pretty much just the quick black and whites of the line work there. Of course, I'm going to add a little more detail. It's always fun to put those little tick marks in. When you break into the business and it's go time, you know, it's the day of the show. You don't necessarily have the luxury, especially depending on how tight the deadline is, to look up reference that from what your favorite artist had drawn, and so you can be inspired or figure out how to approach it. You're not always going to have that luxury. You just kind of have to get in and you got to do it. You got to get that page drawn, and you can't sit there and thumb through 75 issues of X-Men to find that one shot that is an inspiration to you, or see how John Byrne had done it so long ago. So it forces you to just draw your way, and I think that's another part where your style comes out, is that necessity of time and getting the artwork done on time. So you can't sit there and or at least I couldn't. I had to kind of take the training wheels off and start pedaling. You start pedaling like a madman. Make sure you meet that deadline. Let's see. How would I recommend someone to break in the business? Draw your art and post it. Post it on Tumblr. I hear a lot of editors are now looking to find new talent on Tumblr. You can take your sample pages to conventions and show them to editors there. Make your own mini comic of your own characters. Make your own mini comic and pass that around. Anything that shows, and ew, knocking things over. I've got my Copic markers out, my big Copic collection. You can probably see the shadow there at the top of the screen. Just throw some quick red on here, some red and gray. We say quick, but I'm probably going to spend another hour here just coloring. So showing the editors that you have a passion for creating comics. So learn how to tell stories visually, create something, and get it out there. And I share more about this. I go into more detail on this in my Spider-Gwen video that just went up on YouTube earlier today. How did I come up with my Wild Guard characters? Someone asks here. Oh my gosh. Each character has their own story. But let's say like Lilyhammer, my character Lilyhammer from Wild Guard. I created her back in 1994 when the Olympics were held, the Winter Olympics were held in Lillehammer, Norway. I thought Lilyhammer sounded like a good Thor-type character name. So I made her Lilyhammer. And so that's how I came up with that one. Red Rover, inspired by my friend's dog. Oddly enough, I'll let y'all in on a crazy Easter egg here. My character Ignacia was originally inspired by, I believe she's from the UK pop star Kathy Dennis from the early 90s. Was the original kind of inspiration for Ignacia. Has long since left that, but from her video "Drive Me Crazy," I believe that's the name of the song. That was where I got the inspiration for Ignacia. That's Wild Guard behind the scenes info right there. Just dropped on you guys. If you haven't read Wild Guard, it's my Image Comics creator-owned series, and should still probably find the first trade paperback available at places like Amazon or your local comic shop. So I created my characters from all sorts of things, just whatever inspires me. Some were based on a power set, like a Snapback. I wanted to stretch you guys, so came up with a name, then, pardon me, came up with a look, and snowballed from there. So let's see, I used an R24 for the base red. Now I'm coming in here with some R56 for the shadows. Let's see, someone asked, how can you draw women's body parts like thighs, breasts, and abs? Same way you draw men's, but more feminine. Not quite sure what you're asking or what kind of info you would like from me there, but I don't mean to be flippant in my answer there. Hopefully it didn't come across that way. It was not the way I intended. Do I have a difficult time coming up with origin stories? Not too terribly. I mean, it's a fun challenge, you know. It's like creating a puzzle, you know, or making a puzzle, and so you just kind of got to go in there and give it a whirl. That's at least my approach. Okay, specifying here, like how small thighs could be or how big women can be. Well, you know, I'd say look at real life. Look at real life photos, and that'll really help your women look really more believable than copying your favorite comic book artists. So instead of drawing an exaggeration of women, I mean, everything in comics is exaggerated anyway. I appreciate you clarifying there. Study photos of real life people, and whether it be men, women, children, cows. I was talking about drawing cows earlier. I'm not calling any one person a cow. You know, reference it from real life, and study it. Study the proportions of the arms to the body. You know, the legs and how big the thighs are, how small the thighs are. Everyone's body shape is fairly different. You know, you can vary it from big people to little people, skinny people to tall people. So really start looking up and drawing. And this is again why I encourage to draw from real life, is that you're going to get more variation in your figures and in your art in general, and you'll really start to see some growth. I believe that's my personal opinion. Your results may vary, but I really think there'll be some. You'll see some variation, or not variation. I'm sorry. See some growth in your art. There's a greater potential for that growth. So thank you so much for clarifying your question about how to draw women. I appreciate that. Hopefully this info helps you some there. Helps you some more. Cutting in with some orange now here. It's the YR16. Kind of puts a little more vibrancy here on Deadpool, not just the straight up red. And then I'm going to come in here with a little R12. Let's see, we got a long question here. As a comic artist, do you need 2 jobs to survive? Like, is the check high enough to pay bills? Depends on, you know, every artist is different. I've been fortunate, very thankful, very blessed to have been able to work as a comic book artist as my sole career full-time for a lot of years. So it really just all depends on each person's... So there is a possibility, yes. There is the possibility of being able to make your sole living off of drawing comic books. So I'll say there is that possibility. Your results may vary, but it's definitely worth giving a shot if you have a passion for it. So let's see, let's blend a little orange in there. Let's see, Dasher Dart says, do comic book editors favor a semi-realistic style for comics, or do they not mind the style? You know, there are so many different types of comics. Oh, gotta grab my grayscale Copics here. So many different styles of comics, styles of stories and characters, that an editor oftentimes, from my experience, will pick the art team necessary to convey that story. So it really all depends on the type of story and type of character being told as to the type of art that might work best on that title. So that's what I love about comic book art, is that there's so many different styles of artists, and that's why I enjoy all the different art styles, and you can have your own style, and it keeps things fresh. You know, that it's like you have 100 different artists, you're going to have more than likely 100 different styles, and I think that's really cool. Thank you for your question. Thank you for all your questions, whether I get to y'all or not. Will I blend that orange in or leave it? I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it like that. Put some neutral gray 3 in here, and now I'm coming with some B000, that's 3 zeros, to kind of cool it out a little bit. Let's see, I need some kind of a tannish color here for his belts, his shoulder straps, and sword scabbards. Appreciate all y'all supports. Thanks for all the likes y'all been tapping here on the side there. If you've been watching on the Periscope app, appreciate it. Appreciate y'all coming out, hanging out, tuning in. Let's see. Future Artist 23 asks, how did you start off as a comic artist? I think I'm not sure if you asked that question earlier, if someone else did, but I didn't have the brain power to wrap my mind around that answer at the time. But now I think I can probably get a little closer. I started, I realized I wanted to be a comic book artist at age 14. A friend of mine in high school said, you're always reading comics, you're always drawing superheroes. Have you ever tried to draw a comic book? Which I had never done. I'd never thought to do that. So I thought that was an interesting idea. So that night when I got home from school, I took some printer paper, folded it in half, and wrote and drew an 8-page comic in one night. And it was so much fun. The comic is terrible. The art's bad. I think the art's bad. It's probably good enough for a 14-year-old. And the story was pretty lame. But it was so much fun to create something. I knew that day, right then and there, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. This is what I want to do. So, and that was back in the 80s. So very limited resources to get information, and I didn't even have a comic book shop in my little tiny Texas town. So it was even harder to come by information. I couldn't get those. It's more difficult to get the magazines that had creator interviews of the day. So I'd read books or magazines like Marvel Age. Marvel Age was probably my best resource at the time. They don't make Marvel Age anymore, but if you ever find any back issues, you can see at a comic book convention, you can kind of see what I'm talking about there. But they do announcements of upcoming Marvel comics and creative teams and things like that. So so I just taught myself. I just looked at my favorite artists and kind of mimicked what they did. And then by the time I graduated high school, I started going to Dallas comic book conventions, showing off my portfolio to editors, getting critiques, getting brutal critiques. I mean, my first one was so bad. It was almost mind-blowing how I mean, I was actually an artist. I asked an artist to critique my portfolio because I didn't know who to talk to, so I just went up to the first person who had a table. And the artist was kind enough to give me a critique, and it was a brutal critique, and he swore a blue streak up and down, and that kind of left me kind of shell-shocked, but I could take away the points of what he was trying to say. I could understand the points he was making, and when he got done, he closed the portfolio and said, if you can handle a critique like that, you just may make it in this industry. Have never seen that creator since then, but I appreciated him taking the time to look at my art and give me a critique. So I kept seeing editors and finally got my first assignment from Marvel editor. Back when I was still in art school, I got to do a X-Men gag for a humor comic called What The. That was my very, very first paid published assignment. And it was awesome. It was so much fun. And to get to do that. In fact, I just found the original art for that as well. I thought they hadn't sent the original art back to me, but they did, and I found it just about a year ago. So I was really glad to have that original art, to still have the original art for my first paid published piece. And then from there, I did a lot of small press stuff. Still made my mini comics, my Wild Guard mini comics specifically, and never intending anyone to see those. I was kind of a bit embarrassed by them, so a buddy of mine thought differently, and he took him to a convention. Gonna come in here with some warm gray. Sorry I haven't told y'all every marker color I've used here. I got so caught up in answering questions and chatting with you guys. I forgot to list every marker, but you can see all the markers that I do own on my Copic Color account. If you go to copiccolor.com and search for Todd Nauck, you can see all the colors in my collection there. So my buddy at art school, I told him never show these to anybody, but he thought differently. He took them to a convention and showed them to an artist who was working for Rob Liefeld, and he liked them. Now, my buddy was trying to break in as an inker, so I'd send him samples of my pencils, and he would ink those over vellum, and we were trying to break in as a team. So he showed this artist our samples, and he didn't really think much of them. So my buddy pulls out the Wild Guard mini comics, drops them down on his table, and the guy really liked those and said, "Can I take these back and show them to Rob Liefeld?" And who he was working for at the time. And my buddy said, "Sure." I had no idea this was going down. I had since left Texas and was living in Pennsylvania at that time, and after I graduated art school, and it was about a year after I graduated art school this went down. So my buddy calls me after the convention, says, "I know you told me to never do this, but Dan didn't like our samples, but he loves your mini comics. I showed him your mini comics. I'm so sorry." He says, "I'm so sorry, but you might get a call from Extreme Studios." He goes, I really apologize for betraying you like this." I go, "Are you kidding me? This is awesome. I can't believe this." And 2 days later, I get a phone call from Extreme saying, "We saw your mini comics. We like your work. We want you to come work for us." And it wasn't just a few weeks after that, I packed up and moved out to California and started my career full-time working for one of the new Image comic studios way back then. So that's kind of the Cliff Note version of how I broke in. But it just goes to show you never know who's going to see your stuff. So getting your stuff out there and not worrying. And that was one of the earlier lessons I learned, is that not to worry about what people might think of my artwork. Just get it out there, and who knows who will see it and who will like it and who will offer you a job. So that's the moral, one of the morals of that story that's how I got my big break in the industry. All right. Kind of on the tail end here. It's been going for about an hour and 15 minutes. That's how long my last broadcast was. So let's see. Let's put my signature on here. And the date. Today is the 13th, I believe. And there we go. So I really appreciate y'all tuning in and hanging out with me. I had a good time. I hope y'all did too. Let's see. Let's